Caitlin Clark did something unique. She achieved a level of worldwide fame that no other female basketball player before her could aspire to. She is feverishly followed by a legion of fans, many of whom were not even watching basketball until a few months ago. Media personalities can't stop talking about her and analyzing everything she does on or off the court, be it her offensive tendencies or the way she responds to criticism. On the internet, even a mention of her name gets people to start debating about a number of big-picture issues, from the future of women's sports to racial relations in America. It's not just regular people who are losing their minds about Caitlin, as numerous A-list celebrities are frequently seen at her games or have publicly stated their fandom. For better or for worse, Caitlin Clark is now a part of the class of instantly recognizable personalities, and as such, she is frequently mentioned by other big media stars. Unlike some WNBA players and sportscasters, famous people tend to have positive reactions to Clark's success and to be vocal about their support. They generally enjoy seeing her rapid rise to stardom and appreciate the cultural and media phenomenon she caused simply by putting the ball in the hoop. Clark's popularity among high-profile individuals transcends geography, race, or occupation. She is just as likely to draw compliments from a white country music singer as she is from the best black female tennis player in history. Clark even has backers in the White House, not to mention in Hollywood. In other words, a young girl born in rural Iowa has grown into an object of national fascination and a hot topic for conversation from one coast to the other. The number of celebrities of the highest order who are her self-proclaimed fans is perhaps the best evidence of this incredible journey that just keeps getting better. Popular country music star Luke Combs was able to articulate this sense of universal appreciation in a very eloquent way. Speaking directly to Caitlin via video link, he expressed his unconditional support and reassured her that America is intently watching every game she appears in. Since their exchange occurred right after the WNBA draft, when it wasn't clear how Clark will fare at the next level, Combs was naturally excited for what will come next.
Caitlin, Luke Combs here. I just want to say congratulations on being the #1 pick in the WNBA draft. That's incredible. I know I can speak for everybody all across the United States and the world probably that we've enjoyed watching you these last couple of years, and we can't wait to continue to do so.
If Luke enjoyed watching Caitlin when she was in college, he must have been thrilled to follow the highs and lows of her electrifying rookie season that saw her smash multiple records, including the one for most assists in a season by any player. Not only did Clark prove to be worthy of a #1 selection, but she had one of the most incredible debuts ever. And to top it all, she earned her first playoff appearance with a team that hasn't seen the postseason for 8 years. People like Combs, who were supporting her coming into the league, must feel extremely proud right now, when pretty much everyone claims to be a huge Caitlin fan. We have another example of a highly popular guy with a down-to-earth attitude who simply loves what Caitlin Clark is doing on the court. Retired NFL quarterback Peyton Manning won a couple of Super Bowls during his career and was one of the best in history at his position, so it's not surprising that he has a keen eye for athletic excellence. He jumped on the Caitlin bandwagon while she was still in Iowa and never looked back, which seems like a wise decision on his part. His heartfelt message to Caitlin after she broke the NCAA scoring record was very personal, and it hilariously included a reference to Manning's own playing days.
Just wanted to say congratulations on breaking the all-time scoring record. Look, when I played, I hated settling for 3 points, but you've actually turned me into a huge fan of the three. Not an easy task, and I know you've inspired millions of other people along the way.
Peyton belongs to a different generation, so in his time it might have been understandable to have reservations towards the three-point shot. Today's players are very effective beyond the three-point line, and some of them, like Caitlin Clark, are dangerous even from the center court logo. It's all about the long-distance shooting now, and Manning deserves credit for allowing Caitlin to evangelize him in this regard. That's another example of how she affects not only the game, but also the way different people, including media superstars, perceive the game. Speaking about sports royalty in America, few have a more credible claim to immortality than Serena Williams. The retired tennis legend has won pretty much everything she could, collecting unbelievable 23 Grand Slam titles in singles category, to go along with an Olympic gold medal. Much like Caitlin Clark, she competed in a sport where women of her skin color were a minority, so she can empathize with some of the challenges that Clark currently has to deal with. Williams spoke about Caitlin with a lot of respect, and cleverly observed one of the traits that make her so focused and committed. Here is the positive message that she delivered in a media interview.
I just love that she tries to stay grounded, and she says she doesn't, what did she say, she doesn't have a social, she doesn't look at her social, and I get it. I don't either, and I think it's so important to just to continue to do what she's doing. And no matter what other people do, if people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do.
Top athletes can sometimes get caught up trying to manage their own image and forget what made them successful in the first place, potentially leading to a fall from grace. Serena commends Clark for staying off the internet and ignoring all the noise that is constantly surrounding her. That's the best way to deal with irrational and negative attitudes, which in Caitlin's case frequently reaches toxic levels. Athletes who reach the top of their sport have to be prepared to receive criticism, but there is no reason to be exposed to more online chatter than is absolutely necessary. Caitlin certainly does her best to stay in the moment and focus only on things she can directly control, such as torching the opposing teams from behind the three-point line and dishing no-look assists. Pretty much every reasonable observer would agree that Caitlin Clark is a target on social networks for people who are envious of her success. Paige is very familiar with the dynamics of the online environment when it comes to sports, as she is recognized as one of the top golf influencers in the US. Paige is well aware how damaging for one's self-esteem it can be to constantly hear the worst about yourself, and she spoke up about Clark's unfair treatment. She pointed out that it's largely women who are behaving badly, which is contrary to the spirit of feminism and sisterhood that is supposedly so prevalent in female sports. Here is her recent tweet about Caitlin. The hate towards Caitlin Clark from current and former players is disappointing, but not surprising. Women can be absolutely vicious to other women, while also preaching empowering the next generation. I've seen it firsthand, but we must remember a rising tide lifts all boats. It is fitting to describe some of the online commentary about Caitlin Clark as vicious, especially when it touches on sensitive personal characteristics such as race or sexuality. Paige is also right that such things are more common in professional sports than anyone cares to admit or knows how to prevent. The ultra-competitive context certainly doesn't help, and some of Caitlin's rivals maybe wouldn't have such a combative attitude without the commercial dimension. What they are failing to understand is that Clark getting paid is a good thing for the entire league, as everyone will reap benefits from the growing attendance and TV viewership in the long term. Few people are better positioned to comment about feminism in sports than tennis. Great Billie Jean King, who won the infamous Battle of the Sexes match back in the 70s to prove that women can compete against men. The former champion is still actively following what goes on in the US sports and is fully aware of the sudden popularity of WNBA. As an elder statesman of women's sport and a cultural icon of her time, Billie Jean doesn't need to mince words when she is talking about the role of Caitlin Clark in the continued growth of the league. She explained what the veteran players should do in the current situation if they want the league to prosper. Whether you like it or not, Caitlin is the reason for so much of this interest. She's a superstar. When she does well, everyone does better. The league is going to do better. The veterans were the building blocks, and now Caitlin and this rookie class have this incredible platform to take the league to an entirely new place. This generation is so important for the WNBA, you have to set an example. Children are watching. How do you want to be remembered? This generation has a chance to set this league on fire. Don't blow it with animosity. Do not blow it. Just play ball. Play hard, but no cheap shots. Rather than just talking about Caitlin or her rookie class, King is taking a 30,000 feet view and pointing out how the current generation of WNBA players has a collective responsibility to lead by example. She knows that great opportunities can easily go to waste and doesn't want pettiness and hostility to ruin this unique moment in history for women's basketball. Of course, she is talking about the rough treatment that some WNBA veterans were giving to Clark during her first season, and warning everyone that the goodwill of the audiences shouldn't be taken for granted. Also, the distinction between playing hard and playing dirty is an important one to keep in mind. In other words, Caitlin's mission has just started and the outcome is still far from guaranteed. Setting statistical records is nice, but it means little without a sustained run of success at the highest level. Nobody knows more about the difficulty of staying on the top year after year and finding motivation to continue improving when you are already recognized as the best than Tom Brady. He is unanimously considered to be the best quarterback in history, and he won record-breaking 6 NFL championships during his illustrious career that lasted more than 20 years. Brady's words to Caitlin may sound like platitudes, but they are hiding a deeper meaning when conveyed from one star athlete to another.
I just wanted to say congratulations on the record. Like the rest of the country, I've been following along while you chase down my girl Kelsey, but I know she's proud of you too. So we love witnessing greatness here. Keep your head down, go finish the job, and I'll be watching. Good luck.
Aside from giving a shout out to Kelsey Plum, Brady is emphasizing all the right things in his simple congratulatory message. He knows what it takes to be great, and he clearly sees that in Caitlin Clark. Even more importantly, he is advocating for Caitlin to assume a humble attitude and work hard without thinking about the results or how her image might be affected. The job is not finished, not if Caitlin is to fulfill her immense potential, and she needs to continue working around the clock to become the singular force in women's basketball, much like Brady was in football. A part of being a superstar is knowing when to say no, and Caitlin Clark had a very tempting offer before she joined WNBA. Famous rapper and actor Ice Cube, who is also the founder of the Big 3 3-on-3 League, extended Caitlin a lucrative offer to suit up for one of the teams under his control. The contract on the table was much more lucrative than what the WNBA could offer, but Clark still thought it's worth sacrificing some money in the short term in order to prove herself against the best female ballers. Here is how Ice Cube describes the logic behind his Godfather offer in retrospect.
It was 2 years, $5 million a year. And plus, we were going to do cool stuff with merch. And, I think he was even talk about a percentage and team ownership. We were going to, we believe her coming into the Big 3 would be such a big deal that, all boats would rise and the league would benefit from the attention and to see, if she can actually do it against this competition. So
Ice Cube is thinking like a businessman, and he fully understands how much his league would benefit from snatching a talent on the scale of Caitlin Clark. This piece of insider thinking is illustrative of how the business side of basketball works, and it's refreshing to hear it in such an unfiltered version. In all likelihood, Ice Cube knew that the offer was unlikely to be accepted, but went through with it anyway to draw attention to his league. We don't know whether he is a true Caitlin Clark fan or not, but he appreciates the value she brings to whatever organization she is associated with. The fact that Caitlin Clark is big business shouldn't distract us from realizing that she is a unique player, the likes of which come around maybe once in a decade. While her marketing potential is undeniable, the same is true for her basketball skills and winning mentality. Actress Whoopi Goldberg has long been a basketball fan, so we should trust her when she vouches for Caitlin as a top-shelf player.
Now listen, when people say stuff like that, that's like people saying, oh, you only got into this Ivy League college because you're black, or you only got this because of this. This girl earned this. I'm sorry. There are great players, but nobody else has done this.
Goldberg is referencing hateful comments that many people in the black community are directing towards Clark and relativizing her accomplishments by saying that race somehow helped her to get where she is now. Whoopi is having none of it, and she is basically telling the haters to shut up and look at the numbers. Support coming from a beloved black celebrity is definitely what Clark needs the most right now, and this quote is so powerful in its simplicity that it really puts a stop to any mention of racial privilege. Like Goldberg says, Caitlin has earned all of this fair and square, and it's about time everyone accepts that and moves on. Of course, Caitlin Clark has plenty of passionate black fans, including some big names in the hip-hop community. Rap superstar Travis Scott started following Caitlin when she was still a college player building a reputation, and he never hid his adoration for the young superstar. In fact, he was seen at her games with his entire entourage, and was very excited to watch his favorite female basketball player in live action. When he was approached by a media crew at the arena, he shared his thoughts about Caitlin and her team.
We got to come see CC handle business tonight. Caitlin Clark, she's one of the greatest humans of all time. We got to come see just a good Iowa basketball.
Declaring her to be one of the greatest humans in history might be a bit of an overstatement, especially since she is just 22 years old and has a lot of personal development to do. Travis may have used a metaphor here, but he made it clear that he is in the building primarily to see Clark. While presence of elite entertainers isn't rare in the NBA, it's not all that common in female basketball, and Scott's rabid fandom could be a harbinger of things to come. Caitlin may not yet be the greatest player ever, but she is arguably already the most impactful one, and it's likely that her games will continue to attract celebrities no matter where they are played. The attention that Caitlin Clark is drawing is reaching even the highest levels of the political establishment in the United States. With her stellar performances and unique marketing value, Caitlin is single-handedly shining a light on some issues that have been endemic in women's sports for decades, most notably the pay gap between male and female athletes. It means a lot to see that the President of the United States found time to comment on this issue and call for a more equitable model to be found in the future. The following tweet by Joe Biden doesn't mention Clark by name, but it clearly references her as the core of the argument. Women in sports continue to push new boundaries and inspire us all. But right now, we're seeing that even if you're the best, women are not paid their fair share. It's time that we give our daughters the same opportunities as our sons and ensure women are paid what they deserve. Now, we don't know if Joe Biden watches Indiana Fever games or he is just kept informed about Caitlin's exploits by his aides, but in either case, it is commendable of him to throw his weight behind the issue of equal pay. His argument is that if Caitlin Clark, who is a rock star in her sport, can't make as much money as mediocre NBA players, the system is not fair. Change might take time and some growing pains, but it's important to start as soon as possible, and it's safe to say that Clark has already moved the boundaries of what a hooping girl can hope to achieve. While she is careful to stay out of politics and avoid divisive topics, her impact on the society at large is already being felt, and presidential social media posts are an example of this. In the meantime, Caitlin continues to build her own immortal legend, one game at a time. Fever games are breaking attendance records, and on most nights it's not easy to find a good seat. Of course, that doesn't apply to celebrities, who like to sit courtside and frequently ask Caitlin for a photo after the game is finished. It's a fun reversal of typical roles. Big-name Hollywood actors who would normally be hounded for photos are smiling like kids in a candy store when they are posing next to Caitlin. Perhaps the biggest supporters from the ranks of movie stars are Ashton Kutcher and his wife Mila Kunis, as they are on the record as Caitlin lovers since before her entry to the WNBA. They recently took a family trip to a Fever game and asked Caitlin to stand in for a picture with them and their adorable kids. The whole thing was spontaneous and very emotionally charged, and as you can see, Kutcher is so thrilled that he got a photo with his favorite female basketball player that he is high-fiving Caitlin as a way of saying thank you.
By the way, friends of Cam. So I'm the one who gave Cameron.
Another familiar face you recognize from TV can be seen in the front. Comedian Jason Sudeikis, best known for his role as football coach Ted Lasso, is among those who enjoy seeing Caitlin Clark work her magic from up close. The encounter between these two on the sideline was very cordial, and they were both excited to share a moment. Sudeikis was acting like any other fan would, and we should get used to this kind of thing going forward as Caitlin's fame attracts additional stars to the bleachers. When you look at the whole list of celebrities who are eager to support Caitlin Clark, it's easy to forget that she just finished her first WNBA season. She could easily play for another 15 years, so there is plenty of time for her superstar status to solidify. Already at this young age, she is rubbing shoulders with famous people from all walks of life, and that could help her to learn how to deal with constant attention and all the distractions. So far, fame didn't get to her head, and she is casually interacting with superstars as if that was her birthright, but never seems to gloat or feel entitled. In other words, she looks like she was born to be the brightest star in the basketball constellation, and she is just coming into her own.